welcome to our Friday Facebook Live. We're really excited to have you join us today. We have a great topic that we will be exploring today. We are going to be looking at tips and resources for caring adults, those that are at home with their MySchool online students. We know this has been a hot topic. We've been going at this for about 5 or 6 weeks now, and we know that this is prime time to address any questions or concerns that you have. So we will be happy to take some live questions today as well. My name is Lydia Martin. I'm the Chief Communications Officer here in St. Lucie Public Schools, and today joining me is Principal Dejan Jackson from Francis K. Sweet Elementary. We also have Miss Julia Hilburn, Technology Support Specialist, on camera, and as well as Jessica Gutierrez, Technology Support Specialist, who is available for questions as well. We will get started by having Miss Jackson go through some information about how parents can best support their students at home. Go ahead, Miss Jackson.
Good afternoon, Facebook viewers. I am so excited to be joining you today with this topic. As a parent and grandparent of kids who are in St. Lucie schools, I've had the pleasure and opportunity to work with our campus, where we have about 50% of our students participating on campus and the other half participating through the MySchool option. With that, we've had a chance to collaborate as school leaders and develop tips, tricks, and strategies to help you have the most successful opportunity in school. Today's focus is going to look specifically at our elementary and K-8 strategies. And when we think about our MySchool option, we have to think about the visuals, the volume, and our voices in the virtual classroom. Even though at home, our students are participating in their learning experiences, the visuals make a difference. So when we take a look at these reminders, PowerPoint please, when setting up the window into the classroom, we want you to think about the visuals that are on the screen, as well as behind the student. In order to reduce distracting background visuals, we invite you to use the blurring feature. This helps prevent families from viewing into the home while students are present in the classroom environment. Keep in mind that the volume in the home or students' learning environment is heard by all the students and other caretakers. Students should be muted unless he or she is responding to the teacher or to classmates. It's important to keep in mind that the microphone feature is very sensitive. To avoid voices being picked up or to amplify student responses, use a headset with a microphone feature. This helps with reducing background voices when they're interjecting in the classroom environment. Although this is suggested, it is not necessary for students to have that successful experience. Parents and caregivers are our partners in instruction, and we need involvement. Part of the learning experience is for students to have some academic struggle. That's where the real learning happens. So in order for parents and caregivers to stay involved, we want our parents and caregivers to encourage note-taking, to review strategies, picture cues, and procedures for problem solving. And when appropriate, we want parents or caregivers to reach out to the teacher to ask any questions or to voice concerns. It's important to help your child advocate for himself or herself in the problem-solving process. We encourage you in this involvement to use the planner, use Class Dojo messages, email, or voicemails to get to the teacher to keep involved. We want to encourage looking at different ways to problem solve. Keep in mind that our parents are our partners with our child's teacher, and when we partner, we have success. In this platform, in taking a look at the responsibilities of all, our parents have tremendous responsibilities as well as our students. As a student, it's important to stay focused on the work. When teachers give assignments, complete those and turn them in for grading. We also invite and encourage student participation in discussions or activities. This helps the learning happen. We want students to ask those questions, to be curious about their learning, to be engaged in the process. As the parent or the caregiver, you too have responsibilities. We want you to ensure that your child attends class on time so he or she doesn't miss out on anything. In the brick and mortar setting, students are engaged in learning, and this also happens in the virtual platform. We want to make sure students are there for every minute of instruction. Parents, help us with this responsibility by avoiding scheduling appointments or doctor's visits and errands during the school day. This is your child's classroom. We also want parents to promote digital citizenship. When students are engaged with their classmate or with others, we want to make sure that it is healthy conversations that's happening. Check with your child's teacher to monitor the progress of your child regularly. This can happen through Skyward, through the family portal, and also through Canvas. And we'll hear more about that later. With time, it is important for students to be present in school. So in taking a look at time, the next slide. When taking a look at time, elementary attendance is taken daily. It's important to make sure that your child logs on each day to ensure that attendance is taken on time. We want to avoid those late arrivals because when that happens, students will wait in the lobby or might interrupt or miss some important instruction. So it's important to make sure students arrive on time. When you invest the time into each lesson, students will have the optimal learning experience. We know that we can't have FaceTime, too much computer FaceTime, so it's important to build in breaks, and teachers have done that to ensure that the daily schedule is followed. In the time that students are in the classroom, there may be time that we check for understanding, and we also have unit assessments. Those unit assessment times or the schedule is posted and shared by your child's teacher. Please review those and make sure that students are in their optimal learning environment during the designated time. When we take a look at usage, students need to use the different platforms to complete their assigned tasks. The two primary platforms that St. Lucie Schools use with MySchool includes Teams as well as Canvas. In Teams, this is where we do those checks for understanding. We might have unit assessments where we progress monitor, and this is where students have online assessments through Performance Matters. Teams also provides us the opportunity for group meetings. It might be the social emotional learning to connect with classmates. It might be small group instruction that is happening, or some of our support facilitation teachers provide that extra care and answer questions. So it's important for us to use that Teams platform. This also might provide that one-on-one support from the teacher where live lessons are delivered. In Teams, it also provides a chat feature or a box for students to type in questions, respond to teachers, or to engage with their fellow classmates. Parents in Teams, there also is a phone feature that can be used where you can, after hours, while students are not present in the class, call and leave a message for your child's teacher. In Canvas, this is where we have recorded lessons and where students can complete independent work. This also is the platform where completed assignments are there for teachers to grade. We use these various platforms during the school hours. So if you're not able to reach your child's teacher, it's important for you to leave a message or an email so that they can correspond back with you. While you're asking those questions, ask them during the Teams meetings. We encourage students to ask questions during this class meeting time. While independent practice is happening within Canvas, ask when it is not clear. By students participating in these activities with quizzes, tests, class assignments, there are steps and processes that become clear. So it's important to keep asking those questions until we get it right. When thinking about the learning environment, it's important for students to have a dedicated workspace. With that dedicated workspace, it doesn't have to be a fancy office for your child. Make sure that there's a dedicated workspace that has minimized distractions, limited sound interruptions, and for our K through second grade parents, be nearby to support the learning. For our 3 through 5 parents, periodically check in on students to determine if they're staying on task or if they need any help. We want to again emphasize avoiding errands during this time. Students can access MySchool online away from home. However, it's not the optimal learning environment. With the dedicated workspace, make sure that we include the basics, such as paper and pencils or curriculum materials that your child's school has provided to you. With this learning environment, Canvas is a platform that might be puzzling to some. And so we have Julia Hilburn, who is going to help us get the most out of our Canvas platform. Julia?
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. I'm going to start by showing you the main homepage on your students' Canvas courses. So what it looks like is a little different for each student. We do realize that teachers have customized their Canvas courses and they've made it unique to the learning environment, for their class. The first image that I'm going to show you just kind of highlights after you get into Canvas and you click on the student's dashboard and you go into the course, you're going to come across a landing page. When you reach the landing page, you're going to see multiple buttons. They may look a little different or they're color-coded a little different. And the two that I want to bring your attention to the most are going to be the Units button, as well as there is a Parents Help button. When you click on either one of those buttons, it will open a new page for you. The Units button will bring you to a Modules view. Within that Modules view, each teacher has them set up just a little different. So on the screen now, you will see the two main buttons that I am talking about now, Units being the first one. When you click on that Units button, like I said, it is individual to the teacher or to the class, how they have it laid out. But it will bring you to the Modules view. And within there, you can see that there's different dates or times. On this one, it is listed by week, and the students would know exactly what day they're working on which assignment. The second option that I am going to bring you to is the Help button. That is the one with the reaching hands. Within clicking on the Help button, it will bring you to a navigation page that shows you all about Canvas, and if you're stuck on where to navigate or how to submit assignments or anything within setting up notifications for your students. It will guide you on how to kind of navigate through Canvas without having to make any phone calls or do any research on your own. It is all right there within the course from the teacher.
All right, thank you so much. At this time, Ms. Hilburn, if you wouldn't mind, can you go into a course and outline for parents and our viewers some of the key components and things that they should be aware of within the course?
Sure, I would love to. We are logged in right now as a sample student. So if you're looking at my screen right now, this is that first view when you log into Canvas. If your view does not look like this, it may just be a way that you can, toggle on and off. This is the easiest view, and what I mean by that is I am on my student's Canvas dashboard, and I can see that I have my grade 2 ELA course right here. You should have multiple courses that are listed out. If you're not seeing this view, the easiest way to navigate would be to come up to the right-hand corner, and you should see 3 dots. When you click on these 3 dots, I am on card view, but yours may be on list view. If you switch it to list view, it does look a little more convoluted and it's tough to find what you're looking for. So if you use the 3 dots up at the top, we can switch it to card view, and then it's going to just give us those classes that we can click directly into. I also wanted to mention that with any of our Facebook Live events, this is recorded and will be posted. So as I'm going through things, if you would like to go back and look at them at a later time, they'll be on there for you so you can navigate. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click into my sample course. And this is one of the typical views that you should see with a little exception of how the teacher has customized it. I want to bring your attention to the very top. This is the recent announcements section. If the teacher has posted any kind of announcement for that week, it will show up right here at the top. I can see that she has posted a schedule for the week of September 29th until today, October 2nd. I can just click on that and it will bring up that announcement with everything to do for the week. If there's anything up and coming, your teacher may post it here. It will also show up under the announcements tab that's located on the left-hand side. Also on this homepage screen, if you bring your attention to the right side of the screen, you will see a to-do list. This is unique for that class and what the teacher has assigned. So this is helpful to know that on my to-do list, I still have 2 assignments that are left. I can see one was due on September 27th, so I'm a little late. And the other one is not due until October 6th. You can just click on those and it'll jump you right to the assignment. Right underneath the to-do list, there's also recent feedback. This is the section where anything that has recently been graded by my teacher will show up here. So I know that my compare and contrast assignment has been graded. I received 8 out of 10. And then the match the text feature also has been graded with a 10 out of 10. If my teacher left me any comments or feedback or asked me any questions, I would just click on the assignment. It would bring me right into that, and then I could see exactly what conversation was taking place with the teacher. Looking at this home screen view, those were the buttons that we were just talking about, the units, as well as announcements, and then that help button for parents as well. The last thing that I would like to show you is how to easily check your students' grades, your child's grades inside of Canvas. So over on the left-hand side, you will see a grades tab. When you click on grades, it is unique to that child, so unique to the student enrolled in that class, and it will have a list of assignments that the teacher has created for the student. It'll give the name of the assignment, the date that it was due, and then the status, if there is one, as well as the score and how many. So for this one, you can see the home around the world. It was due on the 27th, and I did not submit it as a student. So if your child is missing an assignment, it will show up with this missing tag on it. Underneath that, you can see the compare and contrast was due on the 29th, and I submitted this assignment late. Although I submitted it late, my teacher still gave it a grade of 8 out of 10. And just like on the other view, you can click on it and then you can see the details on why it was scored 8 out of 10. Below that, the match the text has been graded. If it has been graded, you will see the score here, just out of how many. And then the one below that, I did not submit yet, and you know that it hasn't been submitted because it shows a dash mark. If it were submitted, it would show with a little paper icon or a little rocket ship for that it hasn't been graded yet. I think that those are the most helpful features inside of Canvas to get started as we are in our 5th week. If you're navigating through, these are definitely some of the most important features that you're going to be using with your child.
All right, thank you so much for going through some of those key components. We do have a few questions that we are going to get to now. One of the questions is about cameras. And the question is, can cameras be required to be on for the entire class period? So I'm going to ask Julia to answer that. Can you talk about cameras being on and off, and what is the requirement for the courses?
Sure. So with Microsoft Teams, which is the platform we're using for that live virtual instruction, it is dependent upon the bandwidth that Teams is using. So if you've noticed that your child has their camera on, but it may not be showing properly, or some students, the teacher has asked for the cameras to be on and they're not showing, Teams believes that the most important part of that live virtual instruction is being able to hear the teacher. So it will actually shut your camera off if the Wi-Fi connection is not strong enough until it is strong enough, and then it will turn your camera back on. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit. We get a lot of questions on, my child has their camera on, but it's not showing. That is why it wants to make sure that they're still going to be able to hear the lesson that is coming across from the teacher. As far as having a requirement for having it on, it is, all dependent upon the teacher and the lesson, and they may ask for them on. There may be times where they have them turned off and they're working independently, and then they're going to reconvene. So it is dependent upon the teacher.
I would like to add
Sure.
a little something with that. There are times that assessments do occur, and when those assessments are on, the teacher does ask students to please have the cameras on so that assessment monitoring can happen. So the camera feature allows us to be able to make sure that we're answering any questions and that we're able to see the assessments as they go on.
I think one more thing I'd like to add about that is there are times when a teacher may want to work with just a small group of students, maybe 2 or 3 students who are wrestling with a particular topic, and so it's not necessary for the other students to be on during that time, and the other students would be off camera doing their own independent project. So we're going to move on to another question. There's a few comments about large classes still happening in some of the MySchool online courses. So I just want to address that and let parents know that we did open up a few weeks ago the time period where parents could request a change from MySchool online to traditional school and vice versa. So those schedules are being worked out right now, and the classes are being balanced. So we hope to have that resolved at the start of the second quarter, which is October 19th. Right now, the schools are working on getting the students assigned to the correct courses if they're making that transition. And so we do appreciate your patience. We are aware of those particular courses. They are just a few at this time, but we are working to make sure we get those corrected starting for the second quarter. The next question is about Canvas grades and Skyward grades not being in sync with one another. So is that a question that you can that you would like to address, Ms. Hilburn?
I can talk a little bit about that, and we may also refer over to Jessica. But with that, it does depend on the situation if it is strictly MySchool versus brick and mortar. So we do use Skyward as our ultimate grading system. So Canvas is the third-party product that teachers are putting grades into, and then they're transferring over into Skyward. If it's brick and mortar, there may be paper assignments that aren't in Canvas. So then the Skyward grades do look a little bit different than what is in strictly in Canvas. I'd like to defer over to Jessica if she would like to add anything on that as well.
So I think Julia covered everything. The big key component is that if they don't look in sync, it could be because there are assignments that the teacher has given that are not necessarily done through Canvas. They may be a paper-based assignment that was given and the teacher has inputted that into Skyward. So those scores could differentiate slightly between Canvas and Skyward.
All right, thank you so much. We really have top-notch experts here that can answer these questions, so thank you so much for stepping in on that one. Another question is about state testing for MySchool online parents. So I'm going to go ahead and address that question. The question is, how will my child take a state test if they're a MySchool online student? The law requires that MySchool online students go to one of our brick and mortar schools to take that assessment. Schools are already working on some testing schedules for MySchool online students that have to go back in and take a retake test or take a test that they didn't have the opportunity to take in the spring but is a graduation requirement. So some of the schools are able to schedule students after school hours. Some are scheduling students on Saturdays. Others are able to find locations on their school campuses that are just for MySchool online students, of course, making sure that they're adhering to all of the CDC guidelines that we already have in place in our school. So making sure that there's ample space between the students, that the students are wearing their masks, We have our cleaning protocols in place. We would have very explicit directions about where students should be dropped off, how they would arrive, and how they're picked up. So we will be sharing more information, and specifically schools will be sharing information with their MySchool Online parents on how that schedule will look for their particular student. Let's see if we have some more questions coming in. One of the questions was about the use of the mouse, and a person said that oftentimes their children have challenges when responding to questions on the computer, and that the mouse jumps around and then that an answer is inputted incorrectly. Is that something that you can address, Ms. Hilburn? So for example, maybe they selected B, but because the delay in the response of the mouse, it actually defaults to A as the answer.
I think I'm understanding. So I definitely would need to know more if it were in Canvas versus Performance Matters. If it's in Canvas and the teacher has set it up as a quiz, hopefully it allows them to kind of go back. They can switch their answers around. If it becomes a problem inside of Canvas, that would definitely be a conversation that I would have with the teacher, letting them know that this is happening just so they're aware, and it might just be a setting on the quiz that they can, work with that individual student on for sure.
Okay, another question that we have, and I have had this question personally a few times, is do we anticipate having MySchool Online available for the rest of the school year? And yes, we do anticipate having this as an option for the entire school year. We did recently move to phase 3 here in the state of Florida, but that has not changed anything that we are doing here as a school district, including the safety protocols we have placed in our brick and mortar schools, and also the offerings that we have through the MySchool Online virtual. And at this time, I don't see any other new questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to go ahead and submit those, and we will address those. And we constantly update our Q&As, so feel free to look at that as well. And at this time, we are just going to wrap up, and I'd like to thank all of our panelists today. We had Ms. Julia Hilburn, Technology Support Specialist, along with Jessica Gutierrez, Technical Support Specialist, and Dejan Jackson, Principal at FK Suite. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on our Friday Facebook Live.